Hey, it's September 8th. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClaimsOnline.com, presented by Mungenast, St. Louis Acura, and Royal Banks of Missouri. I'm Joe Roderick. Rammer out for the day, so we went out to the bullpen and we called in Brendan Schaefer to join us once again. Brendan, thanks for joining. And I guess you were at the game last night, Cardinals Dodgers game 2 of the series. After all of the pregame excitement involving Adam Wainwright and then Albert Pujols' home run, the rest of the day was kind of pretty boring for you.
Man, I'm telling you, it's like the doctor's office waiting room sometimes, being in that press box at Busch Stadium, with the way this team just seems to not have a whole lot of life in them, especially offensively as games go along. And Monday was a similar story when they get beat up in that first inning, and then you're facing Max Scherzer, and you just feel like, oh man, here we go again. And that was kind of the deal yesterday. They got a little bit of contribution from Nolan Arenado his first couple of at bats, but otherwise, even when the Cardinals had runners in scoring position, they had a chance to score later in the game. You just never really felt like you had confidence they were going to come through. And so I just don't know what the spark is going to be for this team. Again, we continue to talk about that they're not out of the wild card race, but it feels like they're clinging to it for dear life right now.
Yeah, they got 1.5 games back at one point last week, and then immediately lose after that and fall back into 2.5, and since then haven't gained any ground at all. Tyler O'Neill made comments in the post-game press conference, though, about how the team needs to kind of have a fire lit under them for the final few weeks of the season. Is that a case of it being? I mean, it feels like it's September 7th when he made the comments. It feels like it's a little bit too late for that. I mean, that's something that should have been made August 7th with the way this team's played, because nothing has changed over the past weeks or months.
Yeah, and to his credit, he was a guy trying to light it yesterday. He did go 3 for 3 with a couple of doubles, and so he's still producing offensively for the Cardinals. But yeah, it just seems like over this stretch, you've been waiting for that one thing and that one little element to kind of jumpstart this team. And then maybe you thought it could be getting Jack Flaherty back. And then, of course, he goes back on the injured list. And so you kind of feel like the air let out of your sails in that situation. And yeah, they just haven't been able to find a spark. You do see tinkering, right? Mike Schilt has moved the lineup around a little bit. But when you have maybe a weakness on the bench that the Cardinals have dealt with all season long, perhaps your options aren't particularly strong for a lineup shuffle. And then when you do get guys like Lars Nootbaar, maybe you thought he could inject a little bit of life. He hasn't really gotten a lot of opportunities of late. And in general, there is that kind of malaise. And I think Tyler O'Neill had a point in saying, we've got to find that next gear, that thing to light a fire under us. And it just hasn't happened for the Cardinals. And as you point out, it could be too late. I know there are still 3 weeks or so, a little more than that of the season remaining, but something's got to give. And at some point, you just are what you are. And right now, the Cardinals are a team just teetering above 500, but kind of on the outskirts of the race.
They need to win one of these games coming up these next 2 days if they want to remain a team that's over 500, as 6:45 start time for tonight. Take me onto the field yesterday before the game, as you guys are down there for the any of your media stuff, and you see the tweet from Adam Wainwright that he's going to make an announcement at 5:00 on his website, and then Adam Wainwright's just hanging out there doing, talking to kids and everything, while I imagine most of the media is on their phone going to his website trying to see what his announcement is.
It was actually even further gone than that. The press conferences and everything with Mike Schilt had finished up. I was up in the press box beginning some writing and things of that nature, and it was credit to Jeff Jones. He went back down there to find Wainwright still on the field to kind of get some confirmation about that video that he put out. And with Adam Wainwright, he always likes to be the guy to, kind of keep people guessing and loves a good mystery. And so he puts that on his website and doesn't mention the word baseball, but to play or not to play. It was definitely a frenzied period there. Wainwright's been teasing in recent weeks and conversations, and you've heard different media sources and Wainwright talk about, maybe he will, maybe he won't. I think, if nothing else, very interesting that he expresses his desire to come back. We already know that Yadier Molina will be returning. And so now I guess with Wainwright's little foray into the media world, he puts the pressure on the Cardinals to say, hey, I'm wanting to come back, and now it's time for the Cardinals to make that move and lock him up for 22.
Yeah, and the reports out last week saying that the Cardinals pretty much had a contract just waiting for his name to be put on it for next year. So I'm going to guess same with Yachty. There's not a whole lot of negotiation going on
Shouldn't be.
with that. I mean, when you've been part of the organization for 2 decades, you should know what little things, what little nuances you want in there for to make a guy happy. And money, I guess $1 million or $2 probably doesn't make a whole lot much of a difference at this point either.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. And honestly, the Cardinals have kind of gotten a bargain on Waino the last couple of years because he's been playing under the incentive-laden contracts and continues to kind of earn every penny. And I'll be interested to see kind of what the terms end up being, assuming he comes back. It kind of does feel like a foregone conclusion. Like if the guy wants to play next season, it's not going to happen anywhere else. So it'll be interesting to see if his phenomenal performance that he's put on this season in the top 5 in the major leagues in innings pitched at this point in time, and ERA below 3.0 with a 14-win record to his credit. I'll be interested to see if the Cardinals, it's like, okay, I know it's been incentives the last couple of years, but you've earned this one, and they just give him maybe a fully guaranteed deal next time around. I could see that.
So I know on Sunday, Dave Roberts made it clear that Albert Pujols was only going to start on Tuesday and Thursday this week. He was going to start the games that with J. Happ, and I don't know right now because it was supposed to be KK on the mound tomorrow, but then Jake Woodford's taking batting practice, and KK pitched last night out of the bullpen. So I don't think we're going to see another lefty tomorrow on the mound for the Cardinals. I asked this to Rammer yesterday, and this was before Jake Woodford took BP. So maybe the answer will change for Rammer. I'm not sure. I haven't asked him yet. With Adam Wainwright being on the mound tonight, and Albert Pujols being friends with Adam Wainwright and already talking about how he was upset he wasn't going to be in the lineup. Does the home run last night, does Albert Pujols talk Dave Roberts into putting him in the lineup in tonight's game against his friend?
Man, I would sure love to see it. It was kind of a disappointing development when you realize that with KK's struggles in his last outing, he kind of gets rescued by Jake Woodford. Mike Schultz said yesterday, TBD for Thursday's starter. It's going to be Woodford, though, especially after you saw KK last night. And so that would probably put Albert out of the running for at least a start on that day. And so this kind of feels like the obvious spot to do it. The Dodgers are in the midst of a legitimate run to try to push for the postseason, whereas the Cardinals are just kind of like, yeah, we'd like to make a run. So I don't know if you can make that sacrifice if you're Dave Roberts for the sentiment, because Albert's probably not the best option against a right-handed pitcher in general. But when it is Adam Wainwright, and Albert is a guy who, as he did yesterday, always tends to rise to the occasion in certain situations. Wouldn't you think he might be the kind that could rise to the occasion when he gets a chance to face off against Wainwright? I think Dave Roberts should do it. It would be a blast to see it happen. But with all those options you have coming off the Dodgers bench, they have like 11 starters on this roster. That's why they're so good. And so they can mix and match and play the platoon advantage really effectively. Albert has an OPS north of 950 this season against lefties. Against righties, it is a totally different story. And so I think I'd be surprised if it happened, but definitely pleasantly so if I get to the ballpark this afternoon to see Albert Pujols' name in the lineup once again.
And then the baseball romantic, I mean, you saw Albert and Yachty at first base last night and their little pushing and shoving. And you saw when Albert came up and Yachty standing in front of home plate and giving him his moment. You know that you're going to get more of those if that's the case. If Wainwright's on the mound today and Pujols gets an at-bat. So you know you're going to get that. Just do it for the fans. You know what? They are locked in for a playoff spot. Yeah, it's not certain if it's a wild card or the NL West yet, but they're going to be playing at least one game in October. I don't think starting Albert Pujols today is going to matter that much and be that significant as to what happens to them, what happens to the Dodgers the rest of this month.
And like you mentioned, this is a guy coming off of a home run yesterday. So it's not like he's totally useless offensively. And you know he'd be motivated in that situation. I think for Cardinals fans, from the St. Louis perspective, easy call. We'd all love to see it. Dave Roberts, I don't know how much time he spends thinking about that. But, hey, I hope it's a little bit, at least this afternoon.
So the game tonight, again, a 6:45 start time for tonight's game. 6:45 start time, another early one for tonight before an afternoon game tomorrow with the Dodgers and the Cardinals. Adam Wainwright, as you mentioned, he announces yesterday he's coming back for 2022. He has had that flair for the dramatics all season long. I imagine it's going to be a huge ovation tonight when he's announced. Does he have another one of his big-time Adam Wainwright games tonight?
It's going to be tough. I mean, this Dodgers lineup is no joke, and I do think it's interesting knowing Wainwright, the way he wanted to kind of draw this out. Like, he could have said earlier in the season, if he felt sure about it, that he would plan to return for 2022, but he waited. And interestingly enough, that video comes out the day before he starts. And so that kind of adds a little pressure to himself because he knows he's going to get questions about it in the postgame tonight. And so he would probably like to be doing that off of a quality outing. I think Wainwright has a good start. I don't think the Dodgers are going to beat him up. Is it one of those quintessential 8-inning games? I don't know about that, but certainly he should do enough to give the Cardinals a chance to win tonight, which is probably more than you can say the last two games the Cardinals have had with Michaelis and J. Happ as the starters.
He's Brendan Schaefer. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Daily Cards Live, presented by Royal Banks of Missouri and Mungenast St. Louis Acura. Hey, head on over to stlouisacura.com. Well, you can go there to the website and you can see what they have in stock, or you can give them a call, 314-822-2872, and find out what they have in their showroom for you today before you head on over to 13720 Manchester Road in St. Louis. It is stlouisacura.com. Mungenast St. Louis Acura, the presenting sponsor here of Daily Cards Live, along with Royal Banks of Missouri. Again, thank you, Brendan Schaefer, for stepping in for Bob Ramsey. You can go and find his writing over at KMOV, or find him on Twitter at bschaefer12 for all of the news and notes from down at the ballpark each and every day. Brendan, thank you so much. Until next time, I am Joe Roderick. This is ClaibsOnline.com.
St. Louis Acura is excited to announce the opening of our newly remodeled service lounge. We sell pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models and take pride in servicing what we sell. We offer free pickup and delivery service and a complimentary car wash and vacuum with every service. We also have a full-service reconditioning shop on site that can repair dents, bumpers, and wheels. As the nation's only 29-time Acura Precision Team winner for customer satisfaction, we work every day to make St. Louis Acura better than ever for you.